Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emily Davis. I am the industrial and organizational psychologist hired on to assist in this situation. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. Let's dive right in. This mediation is to address the concerns surrounding the incident at the latest wedding event. As the industrial and organizational psychologist, I am here to facilitate the resolution in any way that protects both organization and the employees in a productive and functional way, while also instilling trust and long-term effectiveness. Research demonstrates that unsolved conflict can negatively impact a company through lower morale and performance. Therefore, I am here in hopes to resolve this conflict before any further consequences. On the agenda, we will be discussing the conflict that led to the situation, which resulted in a guest's injury. The situation that I have been informed of is that a hay bale was not picked up like requested, and it resulted in a family member from the wedding party tripping and falling. And that's just not what we want. We don't want any of our guests to have any injuries as a result of poor performance. We will then discuss the importance of conflict management to avoid risks for companies. We are going to look at what mediation is, the goal of mediation, and then a plan for the guest from an event was injured due to poor performance. This not only was a result of conflict, it also was in the news, publicly demonstrating the facility of Thunder Farm and Brewery. The headline read, "A Wedding Destroyed." And that's exactly what happens. At this wedding, despite this request being made, they weren't moved. And this resulted in the groom's mother being injured. This not only resulted in an injured relative, but also a special day tainted by injury and stress. That is the last thing that we want. Additionally, the publicity for this event does not bode well for future events. We want to demonstrate productivity and love and happiness and enjoyment in our facilities and our events, not have them cause disaster. It also seems that there is a continual blame shift. Workplace accidents often grow due to conflict, and when issues are ignored or there lacks equal accountability, they become worse. So let's look at this conflict specifically. It seems that the situation was that the manager had requested these hay bales be moved after photos were taken because they wanted the photos for aesthetic. But an executive decision was made by the photographer to not do this because it looked better aesthetically. That's what the family wanted. That's what our facility wants. Is that correct? Everyone involved? Okay. The conflict at hand is the miscommunication and a misunderstanding of role, responsibility, and decision making. Though it has been stated, it seems like there is a lot of blame going around out of fear of repercussions, a misunderstanding of roles and responsibility, but also a lack of understanding regarding ADA compliance. This aside for the moment, the photographer is also the CEO's son, making this a larger issue due to the potential favoritism, which reduces trust among employees. In order for a company to excel, and that's what we want, employees need to experience trust and autonomy and faith. When they don't feel like they're being heard, they're not being seen, or there's favoritism, this greatly diminishes the productivity and job satisfaction of these employees, which in turn diminishes the capability of a workplace. So let's talk a little bit more about why conflict matters. Because in a workplace, we don't want conflict so that there can be a thriving and efficient productivity line in any company, organization, anything. Conflict in the workplace has been shown to reduce employee engagement, job satisfaction, and performance due to the lack of organizational justice. So, like we were just talking, that favoritism, the lack of autonomy, trust in employees, that conflict shows reduction in these areas. If this issue is prolonged, then it can lead to absenteeism, burnout, and larger turnover rates, which is why it is so impactful for organizations. Workplace conflict does not just impact the workplace staff, as we can see from this incident, it also affects clients and businesses. Poor communication and unresolved conflict can contribute to service failure, reduce collaboration, and lower customer satisfaction. So not only are we lowering our job satisfaction, we're lowering customer satisfaction as well. And when you're in a workplace that thrives on reputation and contacts and rapport, we want customer satisfaction. This in turn can affect company profits and community standing. So let's shift a little bit more into the ADA compliance. ADA compliance is the American with Disabilities Act. Title III requires public accommodations to be made offering equal access to all. This includes removing walkway barriers when applicable. Therefore, the preference to leave hay bales does not override ADA compliance, and this should be something that is taken into consideration. Regardless, though, it is the company's responsibility and goal to ensure the location is inclusive and prevents all avoidable risk when able. It's the CEO's responsibility to identify potential legal implications. Therefore, this could be a larger concern when you have someone who is vision impaired that is part of ADA compliance. This is something that the CEO needs to be aware of, as well as HR, when things like this happen, so that they can be fixed and mediated. Let's continue going into risks and legal ramifications. So organizations that fail to address safety concerns experience financial and reputational consequences preceding public events. So when, like what happened here, there was a headline in the news, there was a falter in staff, conflict led to an injury. This damages not only our legal ability with the ADA compliance, but it can take a hit on our financial and reputational and operational aspects, because if we lose our reputation and our rapport with the community because of a mistake, we lose people, we lose staff, we lose families, we lose customers, or they're just less likely to book with us. So not only is the ADA compliance a need based on law, but it could also further the consequences if not resolved. So we're here in mediation. So let's talk a little bit about my behavioral style and its impact on mediation. You have, helpful aspects and you have hindrances. It plays an important role in the success of mediation process by instilling characteristics like neutrality, empathy, active listening, and wanting to come into an overall fair goal. The behavioral style of a mediator can have a positive effect on mediation. Emotional intelligence is also a helpful skill as it enables a mediator to recognize emotions while not permitting those emotions to take over a meeting. This helps improve interpersonal relationships and contributes to effective management. In contrast, though, you have bias, emotional reactivity rather than intelligence, favoritism, and assumptions. Those are all negative aspects that can hinder a meeting in mediation. When we come together in mediation, we want to all come to a table that is free of judgment, where we can all be open and honest with each other and find a common ground to be able to address the issues and conflict at hand. They're just talking, we want to address the issues at hand. The goal of mediation is to reduce conflict. Although legal ramifications are an important aspect to understanding when resolving conflict, it is not the goal of mediation. Mediation is focused on rebuilding relationships, clarifying expectations, and creating a path to move forward in teamwork. Interest-based resolutions focus on understanding the concerns and interests of all rather than assuming blame. Mediation should result in improved communication, increased trust, and shared organizational commitment. Throughout the mediation process, there are several steps that we are going to take. They include being prepared, having an open meeting, active listening, identification, evaluating, and agreeing. Broken down, that is, we're coming together, preparing for a meeting, doing your research, reviewing facts, setting expectations. So, for example, this situation with the Smith's wedding, reviewing facts, making sure that everything is in order before establishing a meeting. In this meeting, we're going to establish ground rules, confirm the goals of this meeting, and build rapport. Active listening throughout the meeting is important. How we were just saying, we want to build trust, build rapport so that this can be a healthy atmosphere for employees to work, increasing job satisfaction and overall commitment. Throughout active listening, you can identify the issues, but also the interests of all involved to reduce conflict, focusing on the interests, not their position. Once we get that, we can evaluate, brainstorm solutions, consider ADA compliance, and the business impact. And then ultimately come to an agreement. What can be done to mitigate this situation so that everyone is in compliance, everyone agrees, and everyone is in a healthy situation where conflict does not exist. Structured mediation, when this is done in a structured forum, can often improve communication, creating a sustainable agreement due to allowing others to share and focusing on solutions, not positions. When we get to the benefits of conflict resolution, it's safer for our guests, for our staff, stronger leadership and team, risk reduction, and ultimately sustainable company growth. We've talked about multiple sources of research that conflict resolution does not only impact an organization, but job satisfaction, employee relations, and customer satisfaction. Therefore, this conflict impacts many areas of production, and resolution is a vital process to which there can be safer means established, stronger leadership, teamwork, risk reductions, improved reputation, and sustainable company growth. Therefore, by addressing and mitigating conflict in an organization, an organization has the means to be successful. So let's talk about what's going on next. We go through the mediation process, timeline, mediation with all parties, and implement the agreed solutions. But it doesn't just stop there. You continue. We can't just meet once, agree to a solution, and then never look at that solution again. Follow up with the progress in making sure that everyone is is continuing this conflict-free experience. This is usually, a meeting every 30 days for 3 months so that we can have enough time continuing to establish that conflict-free workplace. In conclusion, companies that show organizational resilience through learning from crises develop stronger cultures and effective leadership practices. Therefore, by learning from this mediation, things to consider, including other employee perspectives, a stronger, more unified front can be established. After examining the situation that brought on this mediation, we have reviewed the conflict, both benefit for resolution and things to consider when conflict arises. There is a better understanding of what to do. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for allowing me to speak. If there are any questions, I will go ahead and answer those now. If there are any concerns or positions that would like to be addressed. Thank you.